It goes down tonight in San Antonio, where Wemby is looking to get another win for the home crowd. Wemby put on a show in Game 1. They stole one on the road, but SGA and the Thunder bounced back in Game 2, even it up 1-1. Yesterday, Charles Barkley downplayed the physical play against Wemby that helped OKC get the win.
You people at home and on TV talking about they were physical with Wemby, man, y'all need to stop it. I've been kissed harder. But for you people thinking that's physicality, y'all need to shut the hell up.
I've been kissed harder. Alan Hahn, I love your reaction. Your take.
Not lying.
I've been kissed harder than that too, but it's it's different in the 90s. You know what I mean?
That's why the button's undone.
It's different in the 90s. The 90s was like, they don't play like that anymore, but if you watch some of the highlights, like they were physical with it. It's exactly what you have to do with a guy like Wembanyama.
Yes.
What I don't understand is how he only got 2 free throw attempts. And so this guy's a star. He's playing at home in Game 3. I would expect he's going to get more free throw attempts. Don't you think, if they're going to play him that way? And he also has to play, to me, into the contact. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I did this with Minnesota. He has to go to the contact. He has to get Hartenstein in foul trouble because clearly it did work. They limited him by the way they played.
If you were a Spurs fan, okay, you'd be screaming bloody murder. Okay, if you were a Spurs coach or front office, you would be saying, call the league office, keep it protected. If you're a Thunder fan, you're like, yeah, what great stuff, you know. And if you were a superstar in the 90s like Charles Barkley, you'd be like, that's how we did it back in my day. Everybody's just playing their role, okay? But the truth is, they can't play Wemby without being physical. If they don't play physical about him, he'll eat them alive. This is their only option. So now Wemby has to adjust to it, and they're going to be in San Antonio. This is how playoff series are supposed to go. You're supposed to then have to readjust when maybe the officials will give you a couple more calls. I love it, but let's be honest. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, both teams are dealing with injuries, not at full strength. You know, the Spurs played both games in this series without De'Aaron Fox, and Dylan Harper exited in Game 2. Wendy, any updates for the Spurs on those injured players?
So they referred to the injury for Dylan Harper as adductor soreness. So I didn't hear hamstring and strain. So that's a positive sign, assuming they're telling the truth. The Thunder also said that Jalen Williams had hamstring soreness. I didn't hear the word strain, which leads you to be able to say somebody is questionable with a straight face. I don't think Jalen Williams is questionable with a straight face. And Dylan Harper, an adductor injury, it's a soft tissue injury.
Yep.
I think you should be prepared for the Spurs to play without their guards again tonight, and that is going to put even more onus on Victor Wembanyama being able to dominate, and it puts more onus on the whistle. When your team is injured and your team is diminished, you need the whistle more.
Jay, can they do it without those two guys in the back?
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, but like J-Dub being out for OKC, they've already played 55 games this season without him, and they won 39 of those 55 games, right? You playing without now your lead guard, who is a veteran, who understands time and situation in this type of playoff game, and like a guy who can score the ball, and now Castle's your primary ball handler who has 20 turnovers in 2 games, doesn't put you in the driver's seat. Let me just say one more thing about the Wemby stuff. I'm taking my objective analyst hat off for 1 second.
I like that.
You know what I love about him? He does not say a damn word. He doesn't complain about it. The fans and we can yell about it all day long. But one of the reasons you find yourself rooting for him is because he plays through all that shit. He plays through all of it.
Unless he hits you with an elbow. But yes, he does do that.
The one time he retaliates. But then you watch, contradictorily, when you watch OKC play, every single call. Every single time they shoot, SGA is landing in somebody's region. He's falling down. And you're just like, how do I root for that? I see why I can root for that. I can't root for that.
You're rooting for ethical hoops.
As a fan of the game, I just want to see the game respected. And there are times when I watch OKC play, I don't feel like they respect the process of the game. It's too much.
But as a
foul.
competitor, you understand that the Thunder are doing what works for them and what wins.
Sure, but when you fall down 95% of every shot that you take in the fourth quarter, at some point, and I'm glad that the refs are not calling it, I get psychologically exhausted. It makes me check out of the game.
But that's what they're trying to do. They don't care whether they're riding a stallion down the court. They just
But when's
care
the last
that
time we've seen a back-to-back MVP do it at this length, though, Wendy? Like, when I played against AI would get fouled a lot. But AI was 165 pounds soaking wet.
True, but you also understand the nuance of the game that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a spectacular player.
All that's correct. Do you respect it, though?
Do I wish it wasn't like that? I wish it wasn't like that, but I do think I think he's a spectacular player, and I don't think diminishing him is a
I'm not saying that I don't think he's a spectacular player. I'm just saying
two things can be true.
I'm
As a
becoming a
football
person not
purist,
respecting it as
you
much
don't
anymore.
love watching him on his back every time he shoots the ball.
That's what he's a great player. One of the greatest players. I'm starting to not respect
Winning a championship means never having to say you're sorry.
I love this stuff. Joe Forbo, we got a great game.
We're both right.
What are your thoughts and what is your best
Two
bet
things
for game
can be
3?
true.
I'd make two bets. I'd look to the total, which is 217.5. I'd go over. The pace was really slow in game 2, and we still got 235 points. I think with the injuries, they're going to space the floor more, and you're going to get shots earlier in the shot clock. For the game, I'd look to Oklahoma City plus the 1.5. If the spread holds, this will be the first time in 34 playoff games the Thunder have been an underdog. 34 playoff games. So with that in mind, think of it like this. Games 1 and 2 in OKC, they were a 7.5-point favorite. Now you're going to go to San Antonio as a 1.5-point dog. That's a 9-point adjustment. That's too big when you're talking about all these injuries to the Spurs. The Thunder already have a depth advantage, and it's going to be more so pronounced tonight.
Spurs fans wear those cool T-shirts, though.
I'm sure they're going to have the multicolors out tonight. That's got to be worth at least a half a point.
Like
Half a point.
Awesome game.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just undressing Cleveland at MSG. Josh Hart didn't play in the Knicks comeback, at least the last 10 minutes of it. Here he is on that.
At the end of the day, for me, I don't have an ego to it. I put the success of the team over the success of myself any day.
He had plenty of personal success last night in Game 2, however. Already an 11-point game. Make it 14. Josh Hart working on his 7th 20-point playoff game with the Knicks. He's wide open top of the key. Lonely open. Later, Hart, another wide open corner triple. Mike Brown said he was great. He was decisive. He was also consistent on open threes. 7 of 28 on open three-pointers in the first 11 games of this postseason. 5 of 11 last night alone. It's a 15-point game. Hart, 2 of his playoff career-high 26 points. Knicks 109, Cavs 93. Here's Stephen A., though, with a message for Cleveland.
I was incredibly alarmed, flabbergasted as to how anemic Cleveland's defense was. Did you see how wide open Josh Hart was? You're just looking at Cleveland and like, hello, do you not know that this is the Eastern Conference Finals, that, you know, you're 4 wins away from going to the NBA Finals? Where's the level of urgency and what have you? You didn't see that from Cleveland at all. Cleveland's defense was very, very alarming, and to be quite honest with you, just an absence of intelligent basketball.
Senior NBA writer Brian Windhorst is with us here, and he was at the Garden with them last night for Game 2. I want to show you what Stephen A. said, right? He talks about the defense. The Cavs offense also shot, Brian, just 39% from the floor. What is their biggest issue in your eyes, offense or defense?
Unfortunately, I have to report that leaving Josh Hart open was, in fact, the Cavs' game plan. Anyway, but the reason the Cavs were doing that is they were playing the percentages, and the percentages that the Cavs use is that they're going to be great on offense. They are here in the Eastern Conference Finals because of their great offense, and they know they have defensive deficiencies, but when their offense doesn't keep it up, frankly, they're not going to look like a very formidable team, and that's what happened last night. They missed 26 three-pointers, and you're going to see a lot of open ones here, especially from Sam Merrill. That one was contested, but Sam Merrill is a vitally important player for them, and he couldn't get anything to go down. In fact, their bench went 1 of 15 on three-point shooting. And look, the Cavs are a top 5 offensive team. They are a middle-of-the-pack defensive team. When the Knicks have it going offensively, the Cavs are going to have to match it. They were not able to do that. This was an offensive loss for Cleveland last night, but that's not to say their defense was that great either.
Cleveland shot 39% from the field. Meanwhile, the Knicks 52%, and they had an 18-0 run in the third quarter led by Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. You mentioned their offense. What specifically are you seeing in their offense these first 2 games of the series, Wendy?
Well, Gary, we saw them more for the middle of the playoffs and go with Karl Towns as their offensive hub, and they have shifted back to Brunson because the matchup favors that. The Cavs' perimeter defense is not as strong, and Brunson has turned right back into the facilitator, and they're going to help off of Josh Hart to try to deal with Brunson, and Brunson is just attacking it and killing it. So 14 assists last night, an absolutely brilliant point guard performance He was distributing all over the place. And let me just say that Hart, even though we're going to show and remember the 3-pointers he hit, Hart had 7 assists last night. So a lot of times Brunson was being the hockey assist, going to Hart, and then they would keep going. It was a powerhouse performance by an excellent team that is 2 wins from representing the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals.
We'll see if the Cavaliers have any punch in them. Game 3 tomorrow night in Cleveland. Brian Windhorst joining us this morning on SC. Wendy, much appreciated.